Decisions are a necessity to make progress in anything. You have to first decide to do it. So today I wanted to discuss what is a good or a bad decision. And what makes me think about this is I've just created a video that we are selling our GCSE maths tutoring with this exact point in there. And it's kind of mind-blowing, because if I am selling something, you would probably expect me to say, a good decision is to come with me, and a bad decision is to not come with me. But that's not at all what we said. Because that is not the truth behind what a good decision is. A good decision, I believe, to be the choice to change. Now, choosing to come with us and make that change with us is in that category of good decisions. But so is choosing not to, because you are going to go elsewhere, because you now have the skills to do it yourself, because you have changed what your goal actually is and you no longer want to do this, whatever. All of those are very good decisions because they will push you forwards. They are helping you to move towards the goal that you are aiming to achieve, whatever that goal is, and the goal can change. That's kind of the point. So then thinking about that, if not going with me is also a good decision, what's a bad one? Well, our thought process on this came down to essentially inaction. I need to think about it. For some reason, I refuse to make one. That is, without a doubt, a decision. It's a decision to do nothing. And that's what makes it terrible. Because generally, these decisions to do nothing come from a place of a lack of information. Most people want to say, I need time to think about this. I need to speak to my partner, etc., etc., etc. Now, their partner isn't going to give them new information, but in certain situations, they might have access to the bank account. You don't, right? Or it's a joint one that you have agreed to spend on X, Y, Z. Reasonable. But for most people, that delay, that smokescreen, the delay of a decision, the choice of inaction, actually comes from a lack of information. And so the right question to ask there is, what would this need to look like for me to make the choice now? And ask the questions that will give you the information as to why is it not that? What is missing to obtain that? Where can I go to find it? Etc., etc. So I love this, where I spoke to a lady who said she refuses to ever make a decision there and then. She will always sleep on it. Always. And I said a very, very nice one of, if I offer you a Ferrari today with a certificate of the Ferrari, you can collect it from the factory. Mr. Ferrari himself hands it over to you for £500. And this Ferrari is worth $250,000 and you can sell it immediately, have the money. Would you say yes? And she said no. No, she wouldn't. To which I'm like, wow, that's wild. And I stopped there. But I could have then asked, hey, I'm holding a gun to your head and you have to make a decision for me to kill you or not kill you. Would you make a decision? Evidently, she would have made a decision. And her decision would be either to die or not to die. The fallacy here that she was walking through was the fact that inaction she believed to not be a decision, which is fundamentally not true. She is the perfect demonstration of a bad decision. And yeah, this happens for a variety of reasons. There's been some studies done that show that humans typically value loss 8 times more than gain. And so, as an example, if you're up to a stranger and you said, hey, we'll flip a coin. If you win, I give you 80 quid. If I win, you give me a tenner. That's roughly when people say yes. Or the majority of people start to say yes. And so it's not the lack of a decision, or a lack of whatever, it's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of the potential outcome being worth it to them, and they're unwilling to explore those questions. So that's my view that I wanted to share today on what actually is a good or a bad decision for any decisions that you have to make, because we have to make so many so often. And I very much have experienced this decision fatigue where I just avoid them. I don't want to make decisions. And so I would recommend for a lot of people in their life to automate habits. And habits are essentially pre-planned decisions as a way that you can think of them. That you don't have to cognitively waste energy debating whether or not you should do it or not. You just always do it, and that's a habit. A classic example of this is like Steve Jobs always wearing exactly the same black turtleneck and jeans, right? It's not a decision he has to waste his day thinking about what am I going to wear. Put that time and effort and cognitive load into something more worthwhile. Wow, that was a really long video on what makes a good or a bad decision. I'm intrigued to see what anyone else thinks, and I wonder if I'll remember this in a few years. Have a great day, guys. Peace.